All right, let's just jump right in. Imagine this. Someone hands you a manual for your soul. A pre-written script for your life that promises total clarity, a clear purpose, and a guaranteed happy ending. I mean, that's a pretty tempting offer, right? But what if the price for all that certainty was giving up the freedom to write your own story? That's the exact conflict we're digging into today.
And that brings us to this phrase, which just perfectly captures the whole dilemma. Is it possible that a system promising ultimate freedom could, maybe without even meaning to, become this beautifully decorated cage for the self? So we're going to break down a modern spiritual framework and see if that critique actually holds any water.
So here it is, the core tension. On one side, you've got this idea of a spiritual manual, a map that's already been drawn by someone else. And on the other, you have the challenge, the real challenge, of being your own map maker, charting a course through the messy, unpredictable landscape of your own life.
And here you can see the two philosophies laid out side by side. The manual, well, it offers a script. It's based on obedience, and it promises a nice, clear destination. But the manifesto, that's something else entirely. It's a declaration of personal sovereignty. It doesn't promise an easy destination. In fact, it kind of validates the journey itself, with all its crazy twists and turns.
Okay, so why is the manual so incredibly appealing, especially right now? A huge part of it is how these ancient, really complex ideas are getting a modern makeover, making them feel super simple and honestly just intuitive.
These analogies are just genius, and they're key to the whole appeal. Comparing God's presence to tuning into a radio frequency, or sin to the way a fan keeps spinning after you turn it off. It makes a rigid ancient system feel so accessible. It's a brilliant way to package some pretty heavy dogma in a way that just clicks for people today. This leads us to a really crucial analogy that the system supporters use all the time. You have two ways to travel. There's the path of the baby monkey, which requires real effort. You got to hold on for dear life. But then there's the path of the kitten. What does the kitten do? It just goes limp. You surrender it completely, and you get carried. And this is framed as the easiest, and therefore the most desirable way to travel on your spiritual path. And this, right here, is the central problem. If we use their own analogy, we have to ask a tough question. What's the real cost of being carried? Is going limp a profound act of faith? Or is it a total surrender of yourself, of your own agency, your own ability to walk, to stumble, and maybe, just maybe, find your own way? All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about one of the most powerful things about this system, its promise of radical inclusivity. I mean, the doors seem wide open to absolutely everyone. But, as we're about to see, you really gotta read the fine print. Now that is an incredibly compelling message, isn't it? It promises unconditional acceptance. It says it erases social hierarchies, even moral failings. It doesn't matter who you are or what you've done, you are welcome here. That is a powerful, powerful promise of belonging. But here's the catch. Here's that hidden lock. The system is incredibly lenient on what you do. Your past actions, that spinning fan we talked about, are forgiven. But, and this is the critical part, it is absolutely unforgiving of how you think. The moment you worship incorrectly, or avadihi porvakam, that wide-open door slams shut. And this is where some clever wordplay comes in to handle anyone who disagrees. If you start to question the system with genuine curiosity or jigyasa, you're not seen as a critical thinker. Nope, you're labeled as envious. And then that word, envy, gets twisted into envy or no vacancy, meaning your soul is just too full of pride to receive the truth. It's a neat little rhetorical trap that turns intellectual curiosity into a character flaw.
So you might be wondering, why would anyone accept these conditions? Well, the psychological foundation of this whole system is built on one very specific idea, that this world, our physical existence, is fundamentally a place of suffering that we absolutely must escape from. And to really hammer this point home, the imagery they use is, well, it's visceral and frankly terrifying. We're not talking about death as some natural process, oh no. It's described as the simultaneous sting of 40,000 scorpions. Can you even imagine? And all the joys of life, they're just dismissed as illusions. This kind of intense fear-based language makes escaping the world feel like it's not just a good idea, it's an absolute necessity. But there's another way to look at it, a radically different perspective. This view argues that the messiness, the heartbreak, the passion, all that flesh-to-flesh intensity of being alive isn't a mistake. It's the whole point. It's not a distraction from the divine.
It is the divine, experiencing the universe through our very own eyes and senses.
This brings us to another classic comparison. The manual's ideal is to be like the lotus leaf, to float above the murky waters of life, untouched, perfectly dry. The alternative? To be the deep-sea diver, to plunge right into that ocean, to get wet, to feel everything, and to be fundamentally changed by the experience. The good, the bad, all of it. So if we choose to set the manual aside, what's left? What's the alternative? Well, let's explore a framework for a self-directed life. Think of it as writing your own manifesto. This is about moving from taking things apart to building something new for yourself. And the core principle here is something we can call spiritual sovereignty. It's the courageous act of being the architect of your own meaning. It's about refusing to be just a cog in the machine, a functional unit in someone else's grand design, and instead claiming the right to build your own.
And this manifesto is really built on a few key ideas. First, your passions aren't a trap, they're your compass. Second, real inquiry isn't just about confirming what you're told, it's about asking if it's actually true for you. Third, you are the architect, not just an actor playing a role. And finally, sorrow, or dukkha, isn't something to run away from. It's a profound teacher, the necessary contrast that lets you feel truly, deeply alive.
So in the end, it all really boils down to this one fundamental choice. Are you content playing a character in a script that someone else has written for you, no matter how beautiful the stage is? Or do you have the courage to pick up the pen and become the author of your own unique, messy, and totally unwritten story?